And I just saw that and thought, this is really cool.
You're telling me that after 5 years or however long it's been of you filming,
7 years now.
7 years of filming Chris Crone, who's...
And I'm looking at it, I'm like, you know what? My returns are like 20 times higher than the returns Chris Crone was talking about.
Now, the other day you were telling me on the phone about Turo, and I had just heard of Turo, T-U-R-O, for the first time, and I don't know how long it's been out there, but as I understand it, because my son told me about it when he travels, it's an app that allows you to basically skip the lines at the airport and not rent from Avis or Hertz, but just rent from private people, their own cars. Is that what that is, basically?
Yeah, so it's kind of been new to me in the last years. Noelle Randall teaches a lot about it on her channel, and so I've heard about it. But as we're getting set up in Florida, and I need a vehicle there, and I thought, should I buy one? Oh, ding, 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 ding. You could put it on Turo, and then just when you're in town. And so I've started to explore it a lot more. Here's what's really cool. So Noelle has shared, she's got a lot of Airbnb properties, lots of vacation rentals. A year ago when I was there, I stayed in one of her properties and I used one of her Teslas.
I was gonna say, I thought maybe you said you stayed in her Airbnb and then shot 3 other clients at her Airbnb.
No.
Okay.
We filmed somewhere else, but yeah, I stayed in one of her Airbnbs and I used one of her Turo vehicles, which was a Tesla. And she had a team of people that delivered it to me at the airport. And I just saw that and thought, this is really cool. When I asked Noelle about it, she says, I make more money renting out Teslas than I do on my properties. I know the cost of a Tesla. I know the cost of her, her apartment buildings or whatnot, roughly. We're talking a Tesla's a fraction of the cost, and yet she's making more money. And so that's just been stuck with me. Like,
wait, so she has a fleet?
She has a fleet of cars that she rents out to, a lot of them, to people that stay in her properties. She'll say, hey, would you like a rental vehicle as well?
Oh, wow, that is smart.
Yeah. And Tesla specifically, we were talking about because it looks like Hertz is moving to be able to rent out Teslas.
Yeah, they just bought 500,000 of them or something.
But people want the experience of
the electric
renting the Tesla.
Yeah.
And admittedly, after I drove the one that's when I got mine.
Oh, is that right? So, let me see if I get this straight. So you're getting the property in Florida, you have the property in Florida, and since you'll be down there, and so will your clients and other people and things, you get a car, you put it on Turo, and then it can kind of pay for itself and continue to drive. But if you get 10 of those and do what she's doing, even more. I mean, is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, so right now I'm starting with one. This will be an experiment, and I basically want to break even. I want to see or if make a little bit of profit. So I'm going to get a Toyota Sienna, and
what is that? A minivan thing?
Minivan thing.
SUV.
It can seat up to 8 people. Oh. So I'm thinking it would be great when we've used rental vehicles, or even when we use an Uber, like the more seats it can have. I figure. So anyway, I'm not an expert in this. Noelle's the expert. I've had some conversations with her.
But Florida, families go to Florida. You probably want more room. Yeah.
So that'll be the first test. I'll use it when I'm there, but then it'll be a rental vehicle the other part of the time. And if I do the math and it makes sense, then my second vehicle I plan to get a Tesla.
And then if that makes sense,
why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Get more and more. So, I guess that leads me to the next question. Are there other opportunities for you to expand your business portfolio based on your clients and what they do? So Chris Crone, for example, he's a real estate guy. You're telling me that after 5 years or however long it's been of you filming...
7 years now.
7 years of filming Chris Crone, who's, at a certain point,
so
don't
that's
you
a good
say,
point.
Hey, Chris, maybe I should do this too.
So yeah, filming with Chris for so many years, learning all the ins and outs of his real estate strategy. Then the last 2 years with Noelle, her Airbnb real estate strategy, and other clients also. It's like, why haven't I taken the leap in real estate?
You're getting a free education from them, basically.
Oh yeah, and all other areas as well. For me, I knew that, I could buy a property, and I could get this amount of return, but I always knew that I could buy more filming equipment, I could expand, and so I knew that my business has, up until recently, my business has been the most important investment. It's been the most profitable. It's where I could get the most return, and it really has paid off.
Yeah.
It's only been till now, and I've got money sitting in the bank doing nothing. And now that I've got money that's been, just sitting there, it's in a money market account, less than 1% interest or whatever. And so now it's like, okay, I probably should do something. And so that's where I've been opening up. A friend of mine is opening a business locally, and I would need to know the numbers, but I said, do you need some capital? He said, no. But then, then we invested in this place in Florida to expand, and it's real estate. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, you know what? My returns are like 20 times higher than the returns Chris Crone was talking about. I've kind of got my own real estate strategy here. and then I'm looking at Turo's like, okay, if Turo can even make more money than an Airbnb, let's give it a try.
Yeah. And are there any others? Are there any other of your clients who do things where you go, I could? I mean, are they primarily in real estate?
I've got several in real estate, but I've got parenting experts that we've definitely implemented, and that would be a whole conversation as well. Our parenting dynamic in the last year and a half has totally changed.
In what way?
So we went to Nicolene Peck's course a year ago, February, right before the pandemic. So it was a live event. We learned a system to parent.
Of course. And you would learn a system.
Of course, yes. I describe it that way.
Yes.
But we learned a system to parent, and we no longer have yelling in our house. Is just one example. Like our parents, our kids do chores. They listen. They're calm and respectful. We don't have yelling in our home, which I grew up in a home where yelling is how things got done. My wife grew up in a home where yelling is how things got done, and that's all we knew. We didn't want to yell. So that's just one example. But
if they yell, they won't get to choose whatever dessert they want when you're out eating.
Well, it's like, okay, how do you get your kids to listen without yelling? That's one of the topics that we filmed on Nicolene's channel.
That's a great question.
Well, so I'm in a great position where I've learned the value of here's what I learned from Chris Crone about real estate is like, I can put money in the bank, or I can buy a car, I can buy different things or different assets. Right. But real estate is really one of the only assets that really is. Like, if I needed, I could sell it and always get my money back, even if it doesn't make me money. I mean,
it rarely doesn't appreciate.
But everything else depreciates.
Yeah, that's right.
Like even the cars on
Turo,
the math will have to make sense. Like factoring out, okay, I bought it at this price. When I sell it, it's at this price. All the math has to be profitable. With real estate, I buy a property and I'm using it for a filming studio, and it makes a lot of profit, and it's appreciating. Right. Like this place is appreciated since I've been using it.
Yeah. Well, you told me what you paid for it, and I'm thinking now, even just a year later, it's got to be you've made money.
Yeah, I pay $5, I sell for 10. Look at that.
Look at that. Yeah, Utah real estate is just so easy. Have you learned from him anything about how, is there a point at which it's a point of diminishing return as far as real estate? I mean, for example, this market right now, we're in the Salt Lake City market and Utah County market. I mean, it's been on such a climb.
This is not from experience, but from what I've learned is you look for properties that have a certain amount of wear and tear left. You're not going to need to replace the roof. You're not going to need to replace the water heaters, right? So you keep a property during that window of time, say 5 years, and then you sell it before it's going to need major repairs. So, and I look at those things, and it makes sense because my returns are so much more profitable. Who knows? Do I plan on selling this in that time frame? Maybe. Like, I kind of have thoughts like eventually we've done a lot to this place in terms of making a room a library, adding in all But eventually I could see if we did sell this place, it's because we upgraded to another one.
So are you considering purchasing other properties just as rentals as a way to continue to invest, or only as studio homes?
Right now the experiment is Turo, and if that goes well, then I could see building my own fleet there.
And have you been talked into investing in? You mentioned friends and possible capital for this or that, but I mean, are you invested in other things?
So here's where I would be open. Where I would be open is I really know how to leverage outsourcing in the Philippines. And I have seen businesses.
Can you say that again so we can get 1 million views? I really know how to leverage outsourcing in the Philippines.
I really do. Like I've got a team member that's been with me 11 and a half years. I've got 23 people in the Philippines. And it's working really well. It's a blessing to them. They love their career. They the pandemic hit everyone in the world, especially the Philippines. Like they were hit really hard, but my team wasn't because they could work from home.
Right.
So, and I've really figured it out, and it's a huge blessing to me, a tremendous blessing to me. I wouldn't be able to create anything that I've done or offer the services that I have without this leverage of outsourcing. And I've seen other businesses, and I've had the thought, if they let me take the wheel and I could work my magic with outsourcing and leveraging things and creating systems, man, I know. So
what kind of businesses do you think lend to outsourcing to the Philippines, just in general?
I don't know. That's why I haven't taken the step, because if I saw a specific company, I would approach them. I just haven't been looking.
You're too busy with other stuff. But that's not a bad future. I mean, you just if you can keep applying your systems.
So there's a TV show, I think they call him The Prophet, but profit like IT, money.
Yeah.
And if I remember it right, he goes into a business and he turns it around, right? I think that would be fun. Like I could see myself, or Shark Tank. I love the Shark Tank. I haven't watched it for a while, but I still feel like I'm a big fan of the show. There's sharks that are investors, but they're real. They've got a lot of experience. They've got a newbie business owner coming in with an idea, and I could see.
Would you see yourself as a shark?
Yeah.
I mean, in a real world way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
maybe
entertaining
not like that.
pitches
What's the bald guy, the mean one?
Mr. Wonderful.
Mr. Wonderful.
Kevin. Yeah.
I don't want to be like that mean, that type of a shark.
You have the head.
But Kevin O'Leary, that's his
Kevin
name.
O'Leary. Yeah.
So I've got the look, maybe, but but as in terms of, I do have capital now, and I do have expertise to a point. You know, if somebody came to me and they had a big corporation with hundreds of employees, I don't know what to do with that. But with a small business, to take a 6-figure to turn it to a 7-figure business, I've actually done that. I know how to do that.
Oh, that's interesting. There's rich, or there's well off, there's rich, and there's wealthy.
Okay.
Right? So where would you identify yourself?
So just giving myself permission to not be productive. That's another big thing.
My question is, how much is enough? I guess this may be the easiest way to ask that.